Hi, I'm Dr. Amberleigh Carter. I'm a doctor of metaphysics and alternative medical practitioner, and I am the host of the Ask Amberleigh podcast. And we are here at the Biohacking Congress in Austin, Texas, where there's over 30 speakers of scientific background, doctors, biohackers, and we have another event coming up in Miami in October 20th through 22nd, 2023. So go get your tickets at biohackingcongress.com. So with that, I'd like to welcome Philipp. So if you want to introduce yourself, say your full name and what you do.
Sure, Philipp von Holtzendorff-Fehling, and I'm the founder of Leela Quantum Tech and Quantum Upgrade.
Okay, great.
Yeah, in a nutshell, that's it.
Okay, so Leela Quantum Tech, describe that to us. What is Leela Quantum Tech, and what do you offer people? What do you do?
Yeah, so we've developed a technology that can imprint pure quantum energy into any object.
Okay. Great.
And with that, you can use it for any physiological organism. So for plants, for animals, and for humans.
Okay.
And so it has a lot of benefits on the energetics, on the consciousness level. That's where it's hard to actually scientifically prove it.
Yes.
Nevertheless, the effects are there very clearly. And then in the physical, where the results are easily measurable and verifiable, demonstrable, and repeatable. And I think we can get into that. So that's the technology itself, and then we create different frequencies as well.
Okay.
Frequency is the same as information for the listeners. And we can, for various use cases, then come up with a frequency that helps with that use case, whether it's anxiety or stress or, we even created one for weight management, which I never thought of, but people ask for that, frankly.
Wow.
So yeah, there's different ways to do that. So it's frequency medicine and quantum technology, what we do.
Okay, great. So the different frequencies are measured in hertz wavelengths. Is that correct?
No, we do not measure them in hertz. Whether, you can use sound frequencies that you measure in hertz, but we don't. It's absolutely, we could, we can use any frequencies that exist, whether it's Rye frequencies, sound frequencies, even whole music pieces we can charge onto objects with our technology, but we work with molecular frequencies and with etheric frequencies mainly.
Okay, great. So quantum, for people who don't know what that means, describe the word quantum.
Yeah, so quantum energy is, the term we use, but there's probably a lot of different ways you could describe it, whether it's the ether energy, for example, it would maybe be even better than quantum energy, but quantum energy is just something that people have heard more often. It describes the energy behind the matter, behind the physical. That's the same energy we have in each of our cells. Each of our cells has a quantum energy field, and that's the same energy we work with. So it's nothing artificial at all. Like it literally couldn't be more natural, frankly, what we do. But it's super harmonious with the human cells because it's the same energy. Right.
So even though you have a physical world around you, it's operating on a quantum level in waves of energy. Would that be fair to say? So the waves of energy are creating the physical world around us. So when you're working with that, and you're building devices that emanate those frequencies, what kind of benefits does that look like for someone being around a quantum technology?
Yeah, so in essence we can say so we have created these blocks, an infinity block, a quantum block, a travel block, and they're really the strongest devices we have, and you can make other products even with it. And so they have a very strong field that can be calibrated on the Hawkins scale. So if people know Dr. David Hawkins, he came up with that Hawkins scale from 0 to 1,000. We have a block out there at our booth that calibrates way above 1,000, for example, which people didn't think was possible. Even Hawkins thought it wasn't possible at the time, but he would agree with me nowadays that now it's actually possible because things have shifted significantly. And so what happens, the first thing is that it has a positive impact on your own consciousness because this high vibration invites you basically into your own completeness, energetically and physically, and then that means you can basically access your own blueprint quicker, faster, in a more massive way, and you get into your optimal self way quicker. And again, I know that sounds a little woo-woo here, but we're going into the hard science, but that's really the effect that it has at first, and then it ripples through into the physical.
Okay.
And on the physical level, you can measure instant positive reactions to the blood, like significant changes to the red blood cells, even up to neutralization of stage 1 and stage 2 blood clotting within 10 minutes. White blood cell activity and motility increase also within minutes. You can even see things like reduction in parasitic load in the blood relatively quickly. And what I'm referring to right now is not just some tests that were done, it was actually randomized, sham-controlled, double-blind and single-blind studies.
Okay.
We have 5 of those now just for the blood. And so far, it worked in 100% of the cases, which is pretty...
That's more than significant.
It's quite significant indeed, and but it has other effects. So the blood is really the one thing. But if you think about it, if you can optimize your blood and have more oxygen in the blood and just be in a healthier state, that's already a big deal. But we measure the heart rate variability that improves, brain waves improve, parasympathetic, then... what else? The BioWell did some testing where it actually showed that your energy field improves. That's maybe for some people less scientific, even though it's a medical device. What else? Something really hardcore is actually ATP production. So it could be more physical. That's the energy production of the physical cells. It's the currency of the body, if you will, because if you don't have ATP production anymore, you basically can't exist on this physical level anymore. And so it was now just shown a few days ago that our devices were able to increase ATP productions in the cell by 20 to 25%, which is unheard of.
That is.
I texted Dave Asprey and he texted me back, that is absolutely amazing. He hasn't seen anything that even does 20%.
Wow.
So it's pretty profound. You can measure these results and they happen over and over again.
Okay.
So that's important. What else was measured? We had a clinical study in India with 42 autistic children.
Wow.
So that was a very interesting study because it's, autism is something that you don't really know what to do with it. And especially if it's children, the parents are just overwhelmed and, the kids can't speak, there's no attention span, no focus, and it's just a struggle.
Right.
They don't know what to do. So there's a functional medicine clinic in India that is just focused on autistic children, and they had heard about our tech and about some initial great results that some people with autistic children had.
Okay.
And they came to us and said, well, can we run a study? And we said, sure, of course. We help with the products and you facilitate the study. And so they have a program where they figured out how to decrease the ADDIC score by 10 points, more or less, with their nutritional and dietary program. But no matter, and then within 3 months, and but then even if they kept doing with this, they couldn't reduce the ADDIC score any further. Okay. But it would stay at that level. So now what was introduced as the next step was the quantum healing. Put that in quotation marks because we can't really talk about healing, but that's how they called it. And that was able to reduce the ADDIC score by another 10 points. And then after 3 months of doing that, they added a capsule like this, but it was specifically charged with frequencies that are good for these autistic kids.
Okay.
And it reduced the ADDIC score by another 10%. So now you're at a point where if you could get another 10% off, you're actually in the normal spectrum. So it's very close already to the normal spectrum, which is phenomenal. And they saw an improvement in language and speaking skills and attention span, focus, emotional breakouts, and things like that. So it was pretty profound. So those are, in a nutshell, the things we've seen. And one of the most exciting things I can get into soon, but I want to give you the chance to also ask questions.
Yeah. Oh, that is truly life-changing. How amazing is it that you can impact a child's life like that, where, they're struggling to function on an everyday scale, and then now they can, speak and interact. That's amazing. That's a totally different lifestyle for somebody. So as far as your devices, when you're charging it with energy, what kind of energy does that look like that you're picking and choosing to charge your devices with?
So the blocks it's literally pure quantum energy. So there's no specific frequency in it. It's a neutral quantum energy field, which by its nature supports everything in regards to life and consciousness. And it sounds crazy, but that's in essence what it does. And anything that's harmful or destructive to life and consciousness, it harmonizes. Which is, EMFs, for example. If I would put herbicides in there or pesticides, then I could copy the frequency in our device. That's one of its features. You can copy any frequency you want into any other object, whether that's water or a silver coin. But it would neutralize anything that's harmful and destructive. So I can easily drink this afterwards and don't have any negative effect from it because the herbicide frequency is neutralized.
Okay, so is it matching a resonance? Would that be accurate to say that when you're charging an object or charging something like water, you're harmonizing that frequency? Something that might have been destructive before is reaching a more resonance with something that's more harmonious. Is that correct?
Exactly, absolutely true. So, if we talk in waveform patterns, for example, formerly detrimental waveform patterns, they are harmonized in a way and they're not harmful anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And even though, it's difficult to prove scientifically in some ways, the anecdotal evidence is so profound. You can't deny when someone is not feeling well or displaying physical symptoms, and then all of a sudden those symptoms disappear. It feels like magic, but it's just science that hasn't been proven yet in the everyday spectrum. So it's really exciting technology. And so speaking of the technology, what's in the capsules?
So in the capsules, there's specific healing frequencies that activate the so-called inner healer.
Okay.
Translated, that would be your self-healing powers, basically. And it contains about 80 of the most important minerals and vitamins for the human body in frequency form.
Wow.
So you have vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, and lots of other great stuff in frequency form.
Okay.
What that does is so that the energetic system and the body can just take that in and use it as needed, the information. Because ultimately, if you take a vitamin C pill, what ends up in the core of the cell is not the vitamin C substance, it's the information of the vitamin C. So we can bypass that with frequency medicine in a way. And it's quite interesting what happens with people, when they wear this capsule for a long time. Then some of them actually maintain optimal vitamin and mineral levels without using any physical supplementation.
Wow.
That's a minority though, maybe 5 to 10% of the people, but the others can reduce supplementation. And if they take supplements, they work better.
Okay.
Provided that it's supplements with the same substances in here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So for people wondering how this works on a more layman's term scale, quantum, a basic way of saying quantum would be the smallest part of a physical thing, correct? So you're working with the space between the nucleus of the cell of the atom, or the nucleus of the atom and the orbiting electrons. So in that space, anything can happen. There's that quantum energy that is very exciting and can harmonize the human body. And it's working with almost like a godlike consciousness. It's working with the fundamental building blocks of our physical world. And so even though there aren't many studies showing, what is information being fed into the cells of the body from something seemingly non-physical and pulsing that information into the body where, you don't have vitamin C pills in your capsule, but the frequency is pulsating in the body and your cells are just matching that frequency. So, and then the physical change happens. So it really is working with, like you said, David Hawkins, the scale of energy, the scale of 1,000 would be Christ-like consciousness. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's how you define it. Everything above 700 is like the enlightenment zone. And several things have shifted because the Earth vibrates now on a completely different level than it has like 20 years ago when he wrote the book.
Okay.
And at that time, it wasn't possible for physical objects and not normal beings to vibrate on such a high level, but it is possible now.
Okay.
Which is actually a great message.
Yes.
And interestingly, we found over the last 2 years already another significant change. I mean, it keeps changing because the infinity block we have out there at the booth right now, it vibrates so high, we couldn't have put it here a year ago.
Wow.
It would have literally like blown people away.
Yeah.
But now it's possible.
Okay.
You know, most people here probably wouldn't be able to sleep though if we put it in their hotel room for a night. But you know, you adjust to it relatively quickly. But that's you know, it really has shifted significantly.
Right. So the block is encapsulating that frequency and emanating that above Christ-like consciousness. So it would be like if Jesus walked into the room, you would feel it. You would turn around and feel it. So you're right in saying that, you know, you wouldn't be able to sleep if you're not really calibrated to that energy field yet. So that's so amazing. So what are some of your devices that you have? So you have the capsule and the block. What other devices do you have?
Water bottles, so that's also charged with the same frequencies as this one here.
Okay.
So you fill water in it and then it charges the water automatically. You can drink it. Frequency cards. So we have, I don't know, like 27 different frequency cards for different use cases.
Oh, wow.
One is the inner peace card that you know, helps with everything in regards to anxiety, stress, panic attacks.
Okay.
You know, stress situation in a test in school, for example, and the you know, the typical situation is the kid knew all the math yesterday and then is in school and the test is there and you can't access anything and then you miss the first question and then suddenly you're completely closed. What happens, and you'll know that you energetically contract because of, you know, and then you can't let the information flow in anymore freely.
Right.
And so what that card then signals is that because we always have the inner peace within us, we just often just shut it off, that we can access it again. It starts to, the energetic system starts to expand and then suddenly information can flow freely again and we relax into that. So that's like one of those frequencies. We have, you know, tons of other frequency cards that we use. And then we have clothing products too. Okay. I'm not wearing any right now, but they're with specific silver fabric that blocks EMF. And on top of that, they're charged with quantum energy. So you like a double effect.
Yeah. And silver would be also antimicrobial, antibacterial. So that's
Glad you said that.
Yes. That is a wonderful combination to have. So I definitely could have used a card like that when I was a child because the math totally, I would stand up at the board and I would freeze, you know, and when you freeze, it's not that I didn't know, it's that I just had like performance anxiety and that would have helped me so much to just open up to the information flowing freely. So I could imagine that could help kids with ADD, ADHD, all kinds of things. So what's one of the most profound things that you've seen with this technology?
So that's kind of like the latest stuff I'm most excited about. Okay. That's in regards to food allergies.
Oh, wow.
So at this point, we can't tell people to use it for that, and please don't, you know, wait for more data. But there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that has come about in the last year and a half. And even at Dave Asprey's conference in Orlando, like a year and a half ago, we demonstrated it live on stage. Because it was found out that if people charge the substances they're allergic to in the infinity block for a few minutes, at least 4 minutes, then they can consume the substance with no allergic reaction.
Wow.
And so some people were crazy enough to really test that. And biohacker Todd, who you may or may not know, so he's allergic to crab meat, honey, and avocado. And he found out that he could always eat it when he charged them, and when he didn't charge the substances, he had an allergic reaction. So we did that allergy test live on stage where Ian Mitchell put crab meat in his left arm live on stage, and it got red right away and very itchy and got some blisters and stuff like that. And then live on stage they charged the crab meat, put it in his other arm after 6 minutes, and no reaction, right? And then we've heard that many times from other people too. So we're facilitating studies right now. And the pilot study confirmed actually that between 65 to 95% reduction in allergy response across all substances they tested, including gluten. And they charge only for 3 minutes, whereas we said at least 4 minutes. So at this point, we're assuming it'll be between 70 and 100% somehow. And that includes sugar, by the way. So you can't be allergic to sugar, but you have a stress response to sugar. Sugar isn't really healthy. I mean, it's fun, but it's not healthy. And so if you can charge your chocolate and reduce the downside by about 80%, I mean, that's kind of a cool thing. And so we were having a larger study ongoing right now with a clinic in Germany, and when we have more data, then we'll share it.
Okay, that's fascinating. I mean, the implications for that is just, I can imagine someone putting an alcoholic drink in there.
We don't even know what it does. Some people report the alcohol actually is then gone because I mean, I've heard that from a couple of people.
Wow.
I haven't noticed that. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, but I had some wine last night. It tasted great. We charged it, but I didn't feel like that the alcohol was gone. So it's just something we're still exploring.
Well, maybe the after effects of like the hangover would be reduced.
Possibly,
so many different options. Now I'm interested. No, I'm kidding. But there are so many things. I'm sure people are gonna want to be like, oh, let me try this, let me do that. So just having one of these blocks in your home or on your nightstand, for instance, would that, instead of just putting something in the block, is it emanating in the room anyway? Could you say that it could hold a frequency to create a more harmonious environment in general, with like emotional environment?
Yeah, I mean, it does that automatically without you using it. You just put it in your home and then it does that automatically. It's like an energetic feng shui, like on steroids.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it on your nightstand though.
Okay. Oh, right.
At least not in the first 2 weeks, because most people in the first 2 weeks, it's rather a stimulating energy for them because they're not used to that. And then, as you get more used to it, I can probably put my hand in it and sleep, still no problem, but it takes some time.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what it does, right? You put it in there and then it basically harmonizes the whole radios that it covers on an energetic level. Okay,
great. So if you have a headache, for instance, if you put on one of those capsules, would that help mitigate that?
It depends, what the reason is, because there's so many different reasons and people, right? But it would kickstart a healing process, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I couldn't tell you if the headache will go away because I don't know what the reason is.
Where
for
the root
headache.
is. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, for people who want to know more about Leela Quantum Tech, where do they go to find you?
LeelaQ.com is definitely a good way to find out more. It's LeelaQ.com. And an almost better way is to go to our private Telegram group. I mean, if you're ready to buy some products and jump full in and you already know intuitively this is the right stuff, go for it. But if you want to learn more, the Telegram group is great.
Okay.
I'll share the link with you because it's a private group. People won't find it anywhere if you search for it.
Okay.
But we have over 6,000 people in that private group now that are all like sharing and learning and talking about it. And, you can ask questions, any question you want, and they'll answer. I answer there sometimes too. Okay. And that's a good way to learn more about it.
Okay, great. And do you have social media handles, anything like that?
Yeah, at Leela Quantum on Instagram and at quantumupgrade.io on Instagram. That's our service site.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you so much for the gift you're bringing to this world. And Philip is amazing. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.